Hi everyone, greetings from Andalusia, southern Spain. We are here today on the streets doing our usual street activism, and today is actually the day of the Constitution in Spain. And so, what synchronicity, because we had decided today to educate people about their constitutional rights. And so we're actually sharing direct quotes from the Constitution, and we're talking to people, we're asking them, what do you think about human rights? Do you think they're still valid? Is the Constitution still valid? Are our human rights sacred and inalienable at all times? Or are they mere permissions that government can just grant to us and remove from us whenever they so please? Now, what's interesting in Spain is that they have called that there's a estado de alarma, which means state of alarm. And they're using that as an excuse to override our constitutional rights. However, in the Constitution as it stands now, it says very clearly that for any human rights restrictions, there has to be a very severe cause. There has to be a state of emergency, meaning there's an armed attack or some kind of really severe threats happening. And so, for example, they've now restricted movement. We're not supposed to be able to move from one municipality to another. And they are saying it's because there is estado de alarma, state of alarm. So this is anti-constitutional. They do not have the right to do this. This is completely illegal. In this state of alarm, we still have all of our human rights valid. And anyway, as we know, in terms of international human rights laws, they are inalienable. They are our birthrights. So in all emergencies, we still have the right to bodily integrity, bodily sovereignty. So we have the right to decline from any kind of medical intervention at all times, whether it's diagnostic, therapeutic, or preventive, at all times, in all situations. This is a sacred human right to be untouched by somebody else, okay? If they try to force a vaccination or a nose swab on you, that can be considered as medical violence, medical rape. They do not have the right to do that. There doesn't exist an authority in the world that has the right to do that, okay? So today we are here quoting the Constitution on the Constitutional Day of Spain. I'll just show you a little bit of our signs. We're also sharing invitations. ¿Puedo tener uno? Many of you know that there's a group in Spain called Policías por la Libertad, and it's a group of police who have started this movement to protect human rights, to protect the Constitution, to serve and protect the citizens of Spain. And so we marched together with them in Valencia last weekend, and next week on the 10th in Malaga we will be doing it again. So we are here inviting anyone and everyone to join us to unite for our human rights, for the next generations. So this is what Richie's sign here is saying, Policías por la Libertad. Just to help people understand that this is not a group of delusional QAnon cult believers and conspiracy theorists and extreme right neo-Nazis and whatever the heck they like to call us. No, we're people who value our sacred human rights, and we will stand for them no matter what. So these are the signs we have today. Article 20 of the Constitution of Spain says that it is recognized that freedom of speech, freedom to express your thoughts and opinions through the power of the word must be protected, okay? This is a fundamental right, and ask yourself, this year, why is there obscene levels of censorship taking place? If we live in a free world, why can't they take those doctors in the news who say that this is all a fraud? Why can't they interview those experts who say that the PCR test is a fraud. It's not a diagnostic tool. It never was meant to be one. The creator, Kary Mullis, himself warned that with this test, if you throw the sample through the cycles long enough, you will find anything in anyone. Okay? This one says, forced isolation is torture. We are peaceful and healthy people. We don't consent to this tyranny. Okay? Yeah, so some of us are wearing masks. A lot of people, when I do these lives, they say, oh, why some of you are wearing masks? Why don't all of you take your masks off? And it's because you do come under a threat of being harassed by the police immediately, because there's a fine. They threaten you with a fine, €100 fine, if you don't have one on. So not everyone always wants to put themselves through that, although they stand for human rights and the right to freedom, to free breathing. But it is also their right, if they choose to spare themselves from that in these protests, to put the mask on. So I don't judge my fellow activists who do that. I myself have taken a very absolutist stand on this, and I will not wear a mask. And I even have my medical exemption. So for all of those who say, oh, but you got your mask on, I would just say, stop complaining about that. Just do something yourself, you know? Go and do some activism yourself. Don't, you know, criticize those of us who are actually on the streets, and some of us are wearing masks, you know? We can just support each other. I think it's time to just start recognizing the best in people and stop complaining and finding the one little thing that you can, you know, criticize in activists. Okay, this one says, Article 19 of the Constitution, it means that the Spanish people have the right to choose freely where they reside and circulate and move around their national territory. This right cannot be limited for political or ideological reasons. Okay, that's pretty clear. This one, Article 38 of the Constitution, says everyone has a right to work, and the public authorities, meaning the police as well, they have to guarantee and protect the right of people to work. So it's written in the Constitution that the public officials should protect your right to make a living. So the question is, today on the Constitutional Day of Spain, what is happening to our constitutional rights? How come small restaurants, shops and cafes have to close at 6 p.m. every day, but giant supermarkets can stay open normally or until 8 or 9 or 10 p.m.? If it really is about stopping the spread of the virus, then shouldn't we close all the spaces where large numbers of people are gathering, like supermarkets? Shouldn't we allow the small vendors to stay open, where it's not possible to have a lot of people inside the same premise? Wouldn't that make more sense? And to help the economy, you know, wouldn't it make sense that we protect our local businesses and independent shops instead of these multinational giant corporations? I mean, what does it take for people to see through this fraud, this merciless attack against us freely breathing, healthy, peaceful people? It's time for everyone to wake up and take a stand. Article 10 of the Constitution of Spain says, the dignity of the person and the inalienable rights that are inherent to us are fundamental to political order and to social peace. Can it get more clear than that? What is dignity? I think that's a question that all of us must ask ourselves as well. What is dignity? Is it dignity that you're being forced to cover your face, although you know for a fact that the cloth mask cannot, under any circumstance, prevent the spread of nanoparticles, viruses that are 1,000 times smaller than the pore of the cloth mask? If you know this to be the fact, and you know that there is therefore no scientific premise for you to put the mask on, but you still are being forced to put it on? Isn't that against human dignity? Or the fact that because you do not consent to this fraud and this lie and you walk around breathing freely, that you've become a target of social discrimination, persecution, people looking at you like you are a psychopath walking on the streets. For the mere fact of you knowing that you have the right to breathe and that the mask doesn't prevent anything. That is against dignity. That is against dignity. Okay, we have a little visitors here again today, but I will continue and see what happens. Article 21 of the Constitution recognizes that we all have the right to gather if we are peaceful and without arms, without weapons. If we are non-violent, we have the right to gather. Okay? So this means we have the right to protest, we have the right to march, we also have the right to see our families. We have the right to get together for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for birthdays, for weddings, for any kind of celebrations. We are not criminals. We are freely breathing human beings. So we need to stop obeying this immoral decree that is trying to rob us of all of our fundamental human rights. This is absolutely essential, okay? So, as the police are now starting to hammer down on us, I will join my fellow activists and go speak to them. But another thing is as well is that whenever we have these encounters with the police, we have to, first of all, we have to expect them. They do come. Whenever you stand for the truth, they come to you. But we can use these as an opportunity to build bridges and invite them to also take a stand for their children, for the future of humanity. Okay, sending you lots of love, guys. And anyone in the southern Spain area, please come 10th of December to Malaga to march with us and Police for Liberty.